Greetings, SGF0212 here. Today I'd like to talk about modding some of the Axis weapons in H&G. I'll try to keep this as short as possible, so I'll quickly run through what my opinion on the best mod setup is and why. So, I'd like to start with the small caliber weapons, specifically the pistols. Now, as you can see, my little C96, I haven't used it very much after the Walker update. However, with many pistols, I find that a high damage build is better than anything. And this doesn't have all of the high damage mods, but normally I would have that. But also range, because one of the downsides of using things like the Volfaust ammo and the heavy pistol bolt is that not only are you going to be losing accuracy, you're going to be losing stability and range, which is why I would say add the chrome line barrel. It's worth saving up and to grind out a 9th rank ribbon. Now, if we go down here to the PO8 Parabellum, or the PO8 Panic Pistol, as I call it, you can see again, I have the Volfaust. The match sights I moved over onto the C96. I actually use the match trigger for this because the difference between the hair trigger and the max trigger may seem like a bit much now, accuracy wise. However, if we put on all of these, you see that's a nice bit of damage, extra damage above stock. And with the accuracy, you can lose some accuracy, you see, with the match sights. So you can definitely lose some accuracy with the match trigger, and I would actually prefer that because you're already losing a lot of stability and your shots won't be on target. Now, on to the SMGs. The MP34 is one of my personal favorites. It's the most accurate SMG in the game, and so you should try and build on that, which would be the DMW Fuchs ammo, otherwise the accuracy. It does a little less damage, but my policy is if you can put more bullets on the enemy than they can put on you, it doesn't really matter how much damage they're going to be doing, SMG wise. I could use that, and up to about 20 yards I would do a bit extra damage, but with that you have a greater range and you have a greater accuracy. Now, you see a lot of people just jacking it up with the highest rate of fire possible, which is not something I would recommend on the MP34 because it does have the smallest magazine size of any SMG in the game at only 20 rounds. And even if you decide to do this, the marksman trigger job adds the most rate of fire, and with the DMW Fuchs brings your accuracy back to around stock. However, if we don't run that, we can get up to 600 rounds a minute with a greatly increased accuracy. And so that's what I'd recommend, as well as the light bolt, because you're already getting some extra range out of the Fuchs ammo, so you can afford to lose that. Now, on to the Shredder, the MP40, the Team Clearer. Same thing with this, except, I would go all out on this. Marksman trigger job, 800 just feels a little too fast for this gun. I know it's got a 32 round magazine. However, that's a little less accurate and a little too fast. If you ever see me playing SMG, most likely I'll be hip firing, which is what this gun is built for. You can headshot someone at 50 to 100 yards by hip firing, especially if you're using not the tight grip, the pointer quick fire badge. Now, again, more bullets on target in a quick amount of time, as you can see by the increased accuracy and the increased fire rate. I actually add a trigger onto this because without the trigger, it's a bit slow. It's slower than the MP40, I would say. Or not the MP40, the MP34. But again, light and bolt. This is probably one of the best internals for SMGs. No barrel, because that's a very minimal range gain for a stability loss. And the key for an SMG is stability. Alright, now, on to rifles. Now, I typically have two different builds for these, so I'll go ahead and show you the sniper build, as I call it. This is, your typical using the and shoots Patron, the sniper ammunition, with the scope and the heavy spring to try and get that circle as small as possible. However, I've also started to get a liking to the battle rifle loadout, which on the Gewehr it's not really as possible because it has a slower fire rate than any other semi-automatic rifle in the game, but is the light and spring, the field trigger job, and the sights. No ammo, because you may not think that, that recoil is going to be substantial, but imagine that, or that. You're barely going to be able to put 2 shots on a person. And with this, it brings it up to 342, which is doable. I personally like the Garand and Tulatok, or not the Tulatok Rev, the SVT-40 at 380. Alright, so now on to the old favorite, the Kar 98K. Now, of course, I love to play Frontline Assassin, so I will run an OHK build on that. However, I'd more like to show you my recon, because there's something cool that I've found with recons. They actually have access to a better trigger than all the others. And why might you say that? Well, it's a fine hair trigger. You'll notice that wasn't on the regular car's trigger. But watch the stability. I'll select the hair trigger. Hair trigger increases it, fine hair decreases it, and it adds more rate of fire, with the hair only bringing it up to 36 rounds a minute, with the fine hair bringing it up to 40. So if you're going to be a recon, make sure that you get the fine hair trigger. Also, this is a pet peeve for me, but please, God, put a trigger on your bolt actions. They are so slow without it. And again, I like to play frontline recon, so I do not use the 8x scope. I use the 4x, which if you were playing before Walker Update, the 4x scope was the standard zoom for all the sniper rifles. So I'm infinitely more used to that. And I've gone 50 and 10 in a recon match playing frontline. But anyway, I mod mine for one hit kill. However, you can mod it for a speed build, which is actually that's on my recon, my apologies. But a speed build, which is quite different. You don't see many of those. But as you can see, it will 2-hit kill out to about 650 meters, but 58 rounds a minute, that's almost 1 every second. Being able to put that much lead downrange is quite impressive. Also, about the barrel, I know that technically the Scout 2 is better. Technically. Or even the Chrome Molly, because you can punch through bronze heavyset. And even though the Scout 2 is now statistically better than the Octagon, that's a nice stability gain between the two for the Octagon barrel. And I'm finding that I am being able to take people out and make shots that I wouldn't be able to make if I were using the Scout 2 or the Chrome Molly when I'm using the Octagon barrel. So I would advise you, if you're a recon, give the Octagon barrel a try. It's extremely versatile. Now, on to everyone's favorite, the LMGs. My personal favorite. Now, for the MG34, it's going to be the first LMG that you unlock, a rank 9 of infantry assault. For this, I have a I have a little thing about modding LMGs. If you're going to you're never really going to need a maximum rate of fire, the maximum stability loss. So why would you use modified ammo? I get it, yes, on some guns, i.e. the 1919, you can bring it up to a two-shot kill, bring the damage above or at 50. And that is pretty nice to have, but first off, it's really annoying to play against, but you can't control it. I've picked up a couple off the ground, and 3 bullets, you're staring at the sky. You cannot control those at all. LMGs are meant to be controlled. You can put a lot of bullets onto a target in a short amount of time. Now, the MG34 is wonderful. It has nice sights if you can get past this rangefinder. And it has a slow and steady fire rate, which is something that you don't see many LMGs, and so you want to take that to the fullest of its potential. So add field adjusted sights, and instead of the chrome lined barrel, you want to add the stainless steel barrel to tighten up that circle, that shot circle, as much as possible. And then I use two different things, which would be the heavy spring. Yes, it brings it down to 480. However, it is absolutely wonderful to be able to put 4 bullets onto a target at 200 yards without having to go prone. Or the light and spring to just get rid of. I mean, that's tiny. That's tiny. Who's gonna. When is that going to get you killed? When you're at 300 yards and you miss 1 damage on a guy. That's not going to really be the biggest problem. But if you want to go more close quarters, the light and spring with its increase in rate of fire will bring you up to about 654. And I mean, the trigger, sure, you can add it on there and that'll bring it up to 720, but that's a bit. I don't like stability loss on these. And now for my personal favorite, Rupertson, because, my character's name is Rupertson. He gave you the Rupertson. Oh, bad pun alert. Bad pun alert. Now, the MG42 is one of my favorite weapons of all time. And, like I said, on LMGs, you want to mod it for stability and the ability to put continuous fire onto a target. Say there's a full laden jeep of people coming up to attack your point. If you have one LMG and an experienced LMG gunner, you can wipe them all to shreds. So again, stock ammunition. You don't want any stability loss. Field adjusted sights, because, well, it's a positive with no negative, so why would you not use that? MG42, I've actually found that if you use the chrome line barrel, it's generally a 3-shot kill, guaranteed, if you get them all in the chest. I'm not sure how that would affect gold heavyset, but I know on silver and bronze that makes it a 3-shot kill. Stainless steel, it's already extremely accurate. Trust me, you're not going to need that. And since the MG42 has a stock fire rate of 900 rounds a minute, that's the highest stock fire rate in the game, then you can add the heavy spring, and I actually like it to bring it down to 720. I mean, yes, you may lose against an M1, M2 at 5 yards, but you will beat that M1, M2 at 50 yards outward, or a max rate of fire M1, M2. You will beat that M1, M2 out past 50 yards 100% of the time with this thing, because if you've ever seen it in game, you know that it does work on the enemy team. And now for the specialty weapons. The other Rupertson, the assault rifle. The STG, I mean, you have to admit, it looks really cool with the scope. It looks futuristic, which is what it was at the time. But, however, that 4x zoom is just a little too powerful, and it's not a sniper rifle. It's not going to be extremely accurate. So, I choose to go without the scope. The ammo is nice, however, that all in all, that's not much of a damage difference. It's nice to get the range right about there, but the STG already has wonderful range. So, personally, I would not recommend the ammo. Now, on the argument between trigger and internal, I would love to see the STG get a heavy spring, because the other two have it, and it sucks. Also, STG kind of needs a little rate of fire buff. I mean, right now I'm having to add a light and spring to get up to 553, and while 553 feels really, really good, I would love for it to be stock 600, i.e., the AVS. Maybe the AVS could even take a little dip in fire rate, because I think that's a problem. You don't need to increase the magazine size that much, maybe up to 20 rounds from the 15. But I would advise you to give it a little fire rate decrease so that people aren't blowing through all their ammo in half a second. Now, the debate between the trigger and internal, when they both do the same job, I tend to go towards the internal, because though it's a little bit more expensive to buy, it always feels a little bit cheaper to repair to me. And I mean, now, even on MG42, I will get a 1,500 credit repair bill on a match where I'll make 8K profit. I mean, stainless steel barrel, tiny range gain, stability loss, not worth it. And now we'll head over to the paratrooper for my final weapon, the FG42, the little monster. Now I have two builds for this. As you can see, I got the scope on my FG very recently, and I love it all to death. But, however, I'm going to take the scope off for the first part of this. Now, field adjusted sights. Again, no downside, increases accuracy. Why wouldn't you get it? This is basically you're about to bust down through the top of a point and light up everyone inside. So you want to put the fire rate at 600, not 650, because the problem with the FG is that the recoil is extreme. I mean, absolutely bananas. And if you use the stability loss from the field trigger job, added with the 654 rounds of it, that 20 round clip is not only going to go everywhere, but it's going to disappear in an instant. And this thing has a 3.3 second reload, so if you are not running fast reload gold, which is why I'm running the MP40 at the moment to grind that out, then that reload is going to make you extremely vulnerable, because as this takes up 6 slots, you're not going to have a sidearm or grenades or anything to defend yourself with. So I would say nix the field trigger job. Guys at Rito, you might want to look into that. I mean, that trigger's pretty useless. But you'll use the light and spring, because, I mean, it does have comparative LMG damage, and that damage drop off is at a pretty long range, and that's about a 25 damage right there. So that's a 4-shot kill at any range. But increase in rate of fire, we're going to try to bring that up to 600 from the stock of 514, which 600 is stock Thompson. It feels extremely nice. Now with the FG, 20 round magazine, you're going to want all the bullets on the target, so you're going to use a stainless steel barrel. And you see that tightens up the circle considerably, and that actually helps with the recoil as well. Now that's my assault loadout. Now my favorite is to just put the scope onto this. You can see you lose the accuracy from the field adjusted sights, but the recoil is already pretty low from this, because, I mean, well, I'm on things right, it's what I do. Not trying to brag, but the sniper loadout that I have is the N-Shoots Patron, the sniper ammo, the scope, the heavy spring, and then you could either go stainless steel barrel or chrome line barrel. And I mean, that chrome line gives you a nice boost in damage. That's a nice boost in damage. However, stainless steel barrel is more accurate, so I mean, it's just a matter of choice. I'll go chrome lined, I'll go stainless steel. It just matters of what I'm feeling. But most of the time, I will go with I call it the Uber Assault loadout. Because why not? It's death from above. You have both the stopping power of a rifle with the portability and fire rate of an SMG. If you use it right, you can wipe a team. Anyway, that is all for my Axis Weapons modding video. I hope this helps all you guys, and I'll see you later. SGF0212 here, and I'll be signing off. Goodbye.